It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. Tuesday evening, November 21st. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and euro this evening. Crude is bullish ahead of the weekly inventory report, and I'm anticipating a triangle/range pattern going into tomorrow's session. So my plan is to fade those breakouts tomorrow morning before the news comes out. The S&P is bullish. The wide channel overshoot tell me to look for another overshoot to the opposite side, and I have a key support level to watch tomorrow morning for buying opportunities going back up to retest the high. Nasdaq is also bullish. The big spike in range, a lot of spike, just a little bit of range in the Nasdaq. That tells me to look for buying opportunities using the two-try rule down below the range tomorrow morning. Gold is turning bullish after the sellers failed to retest yesterday's low, and my plan is to look for selling failures on the way back up to a measured move target tomorrow morning. And don't forget about that euro. Euro is range bound with a bear bias this evening. Tell me to look for selling opportunities using the two-try rule up above the range high tomorrow. We're headed into a holiday later this week, which tells me we got important dates on the calendar, and we got to watch the time closely tomorrow for the most reliable trading opportunities. As always, I got a great newsletter in store for you guys and gals tonight. Plenty of great trades setting up for tomorrow's early in, early out session. Before we jump into the charts, though, I do want to remind you the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry. There's a link below the video on YouTube. Follow that link. Come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets and watch the full-length version. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when this newsletter goes live. Follow me on social, lower left-hand corner, StockTwits, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your favorite flavor of choice. Follow me throughout the week for important charts, links, and updates. And speaking of charts, how easy is that? All the charts from tonight's video, that's right, you can have them on your computer, ready for tomorrow, right where it says, click here to download today's charts, be ready for tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, what are you waiting for? Grab that free pass. If you're not a member here at School of Trade, you're going to learn more with me on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. I can pretty much guarantee that. Don't forget, grab that free pass before you finish up with me here tonight. And also, if you have any questions along the way, I'm always here to help. Hit me up on live support on the right-hand side of the website if you have any questions for me. Anything, right? Psychology, trading, membership, trial, free pass, whatever goes, I'm there to answer all your questions every step of the way. Now, here's a question for you. What do we have here for tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday, November 22nd. Quick check here, looking at the calendar here for tomorrow. Tomorrow's a bit of a weird one. You'll notice, of course, there's no major news in the overnight session, and really there's nothing here tomorrow morning until we get into the U.S. session tomorrow morning, right? So you can see here, not a lot overnight, not a lot in the early hours tomorrow morning in London. We pretty much go all the way to 8:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning from the durable goods orders and the jobless claims. Jobless claims on Wednesday. Yeah, that's right. Thursday's a holiday. We usually get jobless claims on Thursday. Markets are closed. Well, at least U.S. markets are closed on Thursday, and so they move that jobless claims right to tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So definitely expecting to see some big movement tomorrow morning early in the session. I'm also expecting to see relatively good movement tomorrow early in the session because of the markets being closed on Thursday, right? So traders have to get their work done tomorrow, and most of them probably are going to make it an early in, early out day tomorrow so they can go to grandma's house, right, and get ready for the feast on Thursday. So I am expecting to see a relatively early in, early out session tomorrow. I don't think you're going to have a lot of people in the afternoon trading unless they have to. So definitely keep your finger on the pulse of price action afternoon time tomorrow. And definitely get to it early, right? Earlier the better, let's put it that way. Now, speaking of which, let's keep going. 8:30 Eastern time right now, down to the bottom here. We got 10 o'clock and a bunch of news around 10 o'clock. The consumer confidence in Europe and the consumer sentiment here in the U.S. Obviously, we always talk about the 10 o'clock top of the hour, the 10 o'clock shock. I'm definitely expecting that to be a little bit more of the same tomorrow morning. So definitely keep an eye on that big round number at 10 a.m. And then, we got the petroleum status report tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. That's the weekly inventory report, right? That weekly inventory report, as I always remind you, anything can happen around that weekly inventory report. So keep it safe, keep it tight tomorrow morning, right, as we go into that 10:30 weekly inventory report. Now, that weekly report tomorrow for crude oil traders, there are always two things that I always remind you guys, right? First of all, 10 a.m. is kind of the unofficial cutoff around the inventory report, right? Bottom line is, on Wednesdays, if you're trading oil, right, or any oil-related market, okay, you want to make sure you're getting to those trades. The best trades will come before 10 a.m. After 10 a.m., things start getting a little bit slow, they get sloppy, and the market personality just changes, right, anytime after 10 a.m. on Wednesday. I would also recommend give it at least 5 minutes after that news comes out tomorrow morning at 10:30 before you start trying to trade that market, right, after the news comes out tomorrow morning. The second thing I want to remind you is I always publish my support and resistance levels for every Wednesday. Right? These, of course, I teach this technique in my intermediate classes. I sent out the levels to you guys on my social channels. I'm going to have it on the text below this video tonight, and I'll also put it on the video here, which you'll see in just a moment. So, two things for tomorrow: 10 a.m. best trades on crude before 10 a.m. because of the weekly inventory report, and again, those support and resistance levels, right, for Wednesday's session. They will work for the rest of the week, but the most reliable use of those levels will be, right, tomorrow's Wednesday session. So get to it early, use those support and resistance levels that I sent out to all of my social media channels, or you'll see them posted below the video on the blog at Sideways Markets in the text below the video, right, on the blog. What else we have tomorrow? Anything else tomorrow morning? Nope. FOMC minutes in the afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time. The news just keeps coming. All of this crammed into, right, tomorrow morning. So we'll see how tomorrow afternoon looks, right? It's kind of a question mark right now, because with the holiday on Thursday, I would assume a lot of traders probably aren't going to be at their desks, right, too late tomorrow morning or too late tomorrow afternoon, unless, of course, right, the boss man or the client, right, requires them to do so. So get to it early, get out of there early. You got some news tomorrow that we don't normally see, right? 8:30 being a good example of that. 10 o'clock is a big time tomorrow morning. It's kind of the unofficial cutoff for crude oil. Some big news around 10 o'clock. So that 8:30 till 10 o'clock window there, that's probably where you're going to get, right, your meat and potatoes for tomorrow. Also want to remind you, too, there will not be a newsletter tomorrow night. No newsletter tomorrow night, right? I'll be, of course, in travel mode, right, to our Thanksgiving. No newsletter on Thursday, right? I hope you guys enjoy your time away with family and friends. And, of course, as I mentioned last night, if you don't have family or friends, right, go donate your time, right? I'm sure there are tons of folks out there that would love, right, some extra helping hands tomorrow. So if you don't have any family or friends to share the holiday with, definitely invest your time wisely on that. And then, of course, Friday is going to be Friday is an early close, right, in the U.S., right? So you will see a very small window on Friday morning. Okay, so be aware of that. So early in, early out tomorrow. We talked about this yesterday already, right? Early in, early out tomorrow. Thursday's off, right, for U.S. traders, or pretty much probably most of the world, right, because of that. And then Friday being an early close, so make sure you get to it early, right? I would say before 10:30 a.m. on Friday morning. No newsletter for the rest of the week for me. I'll be back on Monday, and we'll do it all again. I will be checking email though, and I will be available on live support, right, if you need any questions answered along the way. All right, enough delay here talking about calendars, talking about what to expect for tomorrow. Let's jump in. We got crude oil, S&P. We'll do some Nasdaq, some gold, and of course we can't forget about the mighty euro. Crude start up tonight here. Crude is bullish ahead of the weekly inventory report, and with this recent move higher failing to retest today's high, I'm anticipating a possible triangle or range to develop tomorrow morning. My plan for a triangle is to look for buying opportunities using seller failures down to the lows and selling opportunities, right, using buyer failures up above the high. It's also important to remember to get all those trades early tomorrow morning, because after 10 a.m. Eastern time, we'll get a different market personality ahead of that 10:30 a.m. report. As I look at the charts here tonight, you can see once again, here are all of the support and resistance levels we'll be using here for tomorrow. Had a nice strong bull run. As we mentioned in last night's newsletter, We're expecting to see this continuation higher, and you'll notice what they were unable to do, right? Unable to get back up to that prior week high, as I mentioned in last night's newsletter. So we definitely expect that prior week high to continue to be a price magnet. The one problem I have right now is you'll notice we made this nice run here today, right, into about 10 o'clock Eastern time, and we're unable now to retest that high. So assuming this market pulls back off that high, now I have to draw that falling resistance trend line coming in overhead. I'm going to draw that rising support trend line coming in below, and this now creates a triangle. That's the first scenario we have to really nail down for tomorrow. The second scenario would be if we do end up back up to retest that high, right? Then that, of course, means the bulls are in full control still, and we have to have a scenario for that. And, of course, last but not least, right, we may see a market tumble here tomorrow because it's a weekly inventory report tomorrow morning, so we want to be prepared for that scenario as well. So first scenario is we fail to retest the high, right? We end up collapsing back down into this range, and then this becomes a triangle, right? Once we get the triangle, then ultimately I'm looking for buying opportunities at the low, I'm looking for selling opportunities at the high, and anytime I have a triangle, I know I have a trading range, and that tells me look for the failures and look for the 2-try rule. So as we go lower, 1 try, 2 try, back up in. As we go higher, 1 try, 2 try, back down in. Now remember, anytime you have a triangle, put that little line right in the middle, right? And that will become a level of support and a level of resistance, right? The middle of that triangle will act as support and resistance. So use that as a midterm target, and then the opposite side of the triangle becomes your long-term target. So that's the scenario if the market turns sideways. And if it turns sideways, basically what I mean is they fail to retest that high, right? Nice big strong move up. The buyers should have no problem here after this seller failure, right, to retest the high. Beautiful, beautiful example there, by the way, of a seller failure pattern going back up to retest that high. So that's the scenario number 1, right? That's what I'm anticipating here for tomorrow. But hey, you know what? Crazy things happen overnight. Maybe we do end up back up to retest the high. If we end up back up 57.22 and we do get back up to retest that high, now the bulls have clear control. And at that point now all I need is to get either a trap low off the high. Use some of these prior swings, right? That's kind of what my battle zones listed right there. Right, the bottom line, though, is if we do end up back up to retest that high, I don't need to wait for the move all the way back down again. I can be a whole lot more aggressive. I just don't want to buy the high. Okay, so if we do end up back to retest the high or through the high, right, either way will work. If we end up back to the high at the minimum or through the high, okay, again, both those situations pretty much mean the same thing to me, right? Because the prior week high and the measured move are right overhead. I don't want to buy above that high here. If we do get this price to go back to retest the high, not to worry. We get a rising support trend line here. We've got a rising support trend line here. These are going to be easy areas. We've got a prior swing here, right? These will be easy areas for us to either buy off that rising support or buy off that rising support. Bottom line is I don't want to buy high, right? But again, if we do go back to retest the high here, that will give me a clear sign, right, that buyers are a lot stronger, right, than if we couldn't retest that high, right, for tomorrow. All right, now last, right, final kind of situation here we're ready here for tomorrow is how do we turn bearish? Because let's not forget, tomorrow's weekly inventory report, right? Anything is possible. Anytime we're looking for a reversal, as I always remind you, don't try to predict reversals, right? Predicting reversals are a fool's game. You'll wind up dying a death of 1,000 cuts. You'll make some money here and there, but you'll probably lose more, right, than you make along the way. So how does the market turn bearish? Well, first of all, it have to show a strong move down. Remember, if it shows a strong move down, now we're thinking triangle, and so a failure there for the bears would have the buyers buying right back up again. That'll be a great trade if we can get that, right, those sellers to fail down here. If those bears can hold this move and give us some strength, right? If they can hold this move and give us some strength, then we can start looking at this now, right, and start selling off those levels of resistance, right? We can use some of these support levels now, right, as resistance, and we can start selling this sucker back down to where? Back down to the low, right, where this whole party started at 55.75. So 3 scenarios: triangle, buy low, sell high, retest of the high, pullback, trap low, or strength, pullback, strength, looking for return back down to retest that low. Forget tomorrow morning again. We got inventories tomorrow morning. We got a bunch of news tomorrow piled into tomorrow's session. Early in, early out session tomorrow because of the holiday on Thursday. Markets are closed on Thursday. Enjoy your time with family and friends. And as I mentioned, always a good use of your time, right, is to offer help to those in need, right, especially on a holiday like Thanksgiving. And also don't forget Friday, of course, right? Friday is an early session. I would really be careful on Friday morning. Not the time to be going right to a live account from simulation. Not the time to be trying new strategies. Friday morning, right, is when you dust off your bread and butter patterns and you wait for those patiently, right, while you watch some football, American football, that is, right, on television. Don't forget, last newsletter of the week from me. Have a great, great holiday. Come back with all your fingers and toes. Come back here, right, rested and refocused. And I'll be back on our nightly newsletter, right, next Monday evening, same time, same place. Be well out there. Be nice to each other. Don't be here tomorrow. I won't be here tomorrow, right? But I, of course, will see you guys same time, right, same place on Monday evening for a nightly newsletter. Hope you guys are enjoying my psychology videos on my YouTube channel right now. I always appreciate your feedback. Don't forget, join the free trial on the homepage, schooloftrade.com, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios, amigos.